Well, hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to, we got, let me bring something down here a second. In case you can't hear me from the sound, let me go back to my music changes. What you're hearing there, the music is from the 10 Times Band. Actually, it's from Lanny. Break it down a little bit. Lanny of the 10 Times Band there, he's got some great songs that he has put together. His big project he's given. I told him to give him a shout out here. You can also go to the QR code, which is a quick response code. Click on that and go to his music, support him. He is great. He's a good sponsor of mine and a great band that it is. So you'll be able to hear some of his music. But we got a great show for you right now. And the show is about crafts. And I tell you what, anything that you want to know about crafts, I'm going to cut my background off here a little bit. That way you don't hear all these things, clocks, I drowned it out a little bit. But anyway, if you want to know anything about crafts, ask the question. I got Betty Roark as my guest tonight. And I tell you what, she is an expert. This lady is not only her artwork, far as not painting artwork, but crafting things. She can walk up and see a tin can there and make something beautiful out of it. I'll see a tin can, I kick it. I just kick it out of the way, but not her. So I'm going to bring Betty on to let you meet Betty Roark, and she is the owner of Blessings from the Country. Hi, Betty. How you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Oh, we are doing great. We are doing great, and I'm going to blow you up here a little bit. See all this stuff behind the folks? That stuff right there is gold. She got some of the most beautiful things. Christmas time is coming up, and you can just kind of shop with her. Here's the QR code for her that you can click on that to go to her page, and you can see all kind of stuff. Messenger, call her, say, hey, you still got this, because things go fast, especially this type of season. And Betty, I want to ask you this right here. How did you get started in crafts? Did somebody, your parents, your grandparents, what just caught your eye of, look, I want to do this?
Well, I started sewing when I was about 13 years old. Between my mother and grandmother, they both always sewed. And then it just kind of evolved because I did sew a lot of clothes. I sewed for people. I made wedding dresses, I've made clothes, and then it just kind of evolved, into the craft business.
Now, involving in the craft business, I mean, you're sewing clothes, and I can't even imagine that, because that's kind of a that's some hard stuff, to work to do. I would say, but
It
to you,
is.
look like you enjoy it. Now, you are the owner of Blessings from the Country,
Yeah.
and I've seen people. You can see the design here. Let me put her design that's right behind me here. It says Blessings from the Country. When you see this right here, I'll move over a little bit. Anyway, when you see that, you can't miss it. You're at the right place to shop, and that's with Betty Roark. And uh, not only do you just kind of create things, you've got your husband Steve building some of the grandest things. He does a lot of great woodwork. And yeah, it tickles me. He says she comes up with this idea, and we just have to sketch it out and look at it. You,
Yeah,
you keep him pretty busy.
he's got a little notebook he keeps in the drawer over here with all his measurements and all he does. I mean, I'll see something and I'll say, can we do this? He said, well, sure. I think we can. And just to give you a perfect example, and I don't know whether you can see it, up on the very top of here, there's a snowman.
Mm.
And I saw one at the beach. One I bought was not near as good as what he did. He went to the woods, cut down a cedar tree, and he made that out of cedar.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
he's very imaginative. And sometimes he thinks I'm crazy, but he always goes with it.
Well, he knows that you have that gift to making these things. Now, when you're out somewhere, and I know you go to a lot of shows, but when you're out just driving, you and Steve going on a trip, something like that, are you always looking for just different and unique things, or do you see something that just says, you know what, I believe I can make something out of that?
Constantly. And Adam, our son, says we're the only two people he knows that it takes them 10 hours to get to Myrtle Beach. Because if I see somewhere, I'm going to stop.
And no, your creative juices here. What do you? What are some of the things that you just love doing, or just how do I want to say this? That it just blows you away, and you've got to make a lot of it. It amazes you that you even sold this right here because you didn't think maybe, well, I'll make this and see if someone will buy it. I mean, do you constantly question yourself on things like that?
Yeah, and I guess it's probably the past few years I've started repurposing old quilts. Now, I won't cut up a good quilt. It's got to have some ragged places in it. And people give me quilts. They'll give them, hey, can you make something out of this? You make me something, you can have the rest of it. Well, that's just kind of my dream. Okay, yeah, I believe I can. But I make a lot of pillows out of them. I make a Santa Claus, and he's dressed in an old quilt, like a little jumper suit thing. I only got to put one of those out at a show last December because every one I made sold as fast as I made them. And the only reason I had that one because a lady backed out and said she couldn't buy it right then.
Ah, and people, you can look at the bottom down there. You can follow where the Facebook page is. You could click on the QR also and go there and do some great shopping. Like I said, bet you've got some great items for people for Christmas. Uh, in making these items, I know you're talking about the quilts like that. Does I think I've heard you say one time where someone comes up and has a family coat or a family blanket that comes up to make something creative out of where they can, like a namesake that they can build it
Yeah,
with.
I do a lot of that. One thing that sticks out in my mind in particular, years ago, there was a lady brought me an old quilt to a show in Aiken. And she said, I need 8 teddy bears made out of this. But when I looked at it, I'm thinking, I'm going to be lucky to get one. Because it was really ragged. But with laying the pieces down in the right ways, I got all 8 of them for her. And that's like a memory item. And I also do, uh, I've got a lot of pillows to make right now. I make those out of a loved one's shirts. And I've made them out of women's clothing, made pillows out of them, and I put a scripture verse on that. My printer prints on fabric, so if there's any scripture you want in particular, and we can use a loved one's clothes, I do that. I've used pajamas from a loved
Wow.
one and done that. So there's a lot of items. If you can think of it, I'm gonna try my best to make it come to life.
Well, and that's what's unique about you, Betty. I know that where do you store all, because you got to have uh, I want to say inventory just to make these things. I mean, different colors of ribbons, different colors of thread, different stuffings and things like this. It takes a lot, doesn't it? Or
Yes, Steve says it's in every room. Not really, but he's kind of let me take over part of his shop um, when we make not only the wood things that he does and I finish them up, but the Christmas ornaments we're making out of salt and pepper shakers, the tassel ornaments. That I have stuff spread out on 2 tables down here, and the floor's covered in stuff. And if you could see the floor in this shop, you could about eat off of it. I mean, Steve's that way with his shop. Now, my sewing room's a different thing. He said, I don't know how you find anything. Well, I know where it is.
well, I was there today, and that's the first thing I noticed was how clean that shop was.
Yes, it is.
And, and I said, wow, Betty keeps this real good and clean.
No, it's not Betty. No, it's not Betty. But quilts are the main thing that causes a lot of storage problems. I've probably got 40 quilts now, and I've got them in spare bedroom closets. I've got them in a couple of cabinets that were empty. So that's the main thing that causes storage problems because quilts are so thick.
I can imagine. And do you do a lot of quilts, or do you buy a lot of quilts and make things out of them when you see? I'm sure that you probably go into flea markets or anything that you just kind of. I can imagine it taking you 10 to 12 or 15 hours to get to Myrtle Beach. It probably takes you a few hours to get to Spartanburg.
Well, that's, and it's surprising there's not as many places that you can buy quilts. If you find them in antique shops, the price is more than I want to pay for them to cut them up. The
Mhm.
most I paid for one was last year when my sister-in-law and we always go to Vintage Market Days to shop in Fletcher, North Carolina. And there was one I wanted that was yellow with a Dresden. If anybody quilts, they know exactly what that is. And I put a scripture verse in the center of that and made pillows out of it. And a lady had one. I said, how much is this? And she said, $150. I'm thinking, ooh. But I bought it because I knew what I could make back out of it. Generally, I pay $50 to $60 for a quilt. I have paid more than that, but I like to stay in that price range.
Well, you got to keep your prices compatible too. And I know when you set up in these events that you have such a wide variety of things, and and when I see some others, not putting them down, but each one's got their own niche of crafts they make, but it seems like they kind of stick with one thing. And so when you go there, you know that what that theme is right there, where yours is from earrings to necklace to
Christmas
uh, Christmas
ornament.
ornaments, and this is getting to be your very busy time of the year. And I know you just finished a show actually this past week.
We did. We
Uh,
here at the shop this past week.
and I noticed you got another one coming up pretty soon too.
Oh yeah, the one Saturday is
Yes.
at Philadelphia Baptist Church in Pauline, and when I'm telling you it's fabulous, you can't move in that fellowship hall for probably 2.5 hours after it starts. Literally.
Wow.
I mean, and they don't let them in until 9 o'clock. 2 years ago it was raining. I went to the front door and looked out. They was lined up almost to the church, waiting to get in at 9 o'clock in the rain. So if you want
Wow.
to go to a good one, go to Pauline this Saturday, beginning at 9 o'clock. It is fabulous. To my Facebook page, I list the shows that I have upcoming from now till Christmas too. So, you can look on there, and that gives you directions to the places I will be at.
Now tell them what church it is again and where it's at.
Philadelphia Baptist Church. It is right there in Pauline in the forks of the road. If you come in from Union and you get right there to that yield sign, you right at it. The church is sitting right there.
Okay. And give them the time again.
9 to 2.
9 to 2. So you know what? That many people like that, you're gonna have a short window, and they're gonna sell out quickly.
And she's got over about 62 vendors, I think is what she told me last week.
62. Wow. So people do your shopping. Do shopping early. If you, especially if you're going to say, you know what, I want to change out uh, my Christmas ornaments. We all have Christmas ornaments that we've had for years and years and years, and it does get boring after a while. It's almost like, I don't want to put this out. I got to put the same boring stuff back on there. But yet, something new, it makes it like a totally new tree, doesn't it?
It does. And then the next Friday and Saturday, and that's on the Facebook page too, we're having one here in Union at Augsburg Lutheran Church. If you don't know where that is, you get to Hardee's and make a right and go up there, and it's a little church on the hill. That's where my brother and sister-in-law go. And we're doing one there on Friday evening and Saturday, and we don't charge the vendors very little, just set up, and all of that money goes straight to the church.
I've been to that one a couple times, and it's a big event there, and you
Yeah.
have a lot of things there. And I noticed in this, you have some vendors there that makes these homemade, wonderful desserts, cookies, and
Oh yeah, my friend Christy from Sweet Treats, she makes cupcakes and little egg custards, and my friend Marla Austin. If you haven't had her oatmeal cream pies, they're to die for, and her little cheese wafers. She will be there too.
Yeah, I have to stay away from those things like that because I can't resist. And you know, we're having Thanksgiving coming up. Here's the opportunity to go buy some sweets. If you want to put them in another little plate like I would and bring it and say I did this, just don't let them want the recipe, right?
Right.
But with all these things that uh, you do, I just don't see how you have time to do all these things because you have to build your inventory back. And how do you kind of do that? Because you've got so much variety of things there. You say, well, oh, I'm going to need to have to make some more of these. And you have to really look and see what time limit it takes you to make these before the next show, right?
Yeah, and we start usually February or so. We only do about 3 shows in the spring, maybe 4 at the most. We don't do anything in the summer, but we just build inventory. I mean, the wood nativity sets that we make that are basically on a 2x4, and I stencil on after Steve gets them finished. We probably made 15 sets of those. So they're down in my building, which is a building behind here, and the wooden churches. All that stuff like that takes a little bit of time. We try to work on that during our off season and just price it, stack it up, and when we need it, we'll go pick it up and put it in the box in the trailer.
Now, when you're building these churches like that, Betty, is it do you put lights in 'em? I can't remember. I know
No,
the
hold on. Let me get 2 of them and show you.
okay, we'll do that. All right, Betty's going to go get a couple things to show us, especially in the churches there. I've seen them painted and they're beautiful, and it takes some artwork to do that, folks.
Now, this one in particular, when we started making this one, it's just, flat. You'll see this. Has a rusty cross on the front of it. We bought a laser machine so we could etch on these. But when we started making these, we used some old lumber that Steve had. And I mean, it literally looked just like this. Well, then we ran out of it. I said, okay, now what we gonna do? New lumber wasn't gonna work. Well, tell you a little secret. We found someone that had a sawmill. I told them the exact width. I needed this board on the back. I wanted it rough, cut, fine. I wanted splinters on it. I said, Steve, how are we gonna make it look old? Well, he Googled it. Google knows everything.
Exactly.
And he took steel wool, not the sudsy steel wool, plain old timey steel wool, and put it in a bucket with water and let it sit overnight. He put it in a sprayer. He sprayed them. I said, that's doing nothing. By the time they started drying, this is what they look like. Old gray boards.
I'll tell you, Steve is creative, and you're right. YouTube is I call it YouTube University.
And this
Those-
one, this one is actually made from a 2x4. If you look at it, you can see. And when I say 2x4, it is actually a true 2x4. These they were under a shed that my granddaddy helped Steve build to put his boat under when we first married and moved down here in 1980. And when these came from a sawmill. My grandparents ran a sawmill just right up the road. And these were boards he cut. And when Steve started tearing that down, I said, this is what we're going to do with these. I said, I tell you what we're not going to do. We're not throwing them away. We're coming up with something to do. And this is what we came up with.
that's beautiful. Holly Brandon there said it was Brandlet said it's beautiful. She loves it. So people, you can also, like I say, well, I'll put up the QR and you can go and click on that, and you can see some of these things too. Want to look at some slides, Betty?
Yes.
And people, this ain't slides of us like it's home movies and nothing like that. So this is some good stuff. Join in the journey. Crafting is from traditional to treasure. Betty, tell us about your logo and blessings from the, where did you come up with the idea, or how did this come about? The artwork's beautiful.
Well, kind of twofold. Years ago, Brian Harris, he wanted to set me up a page for eBay. I didn't know anything about eBay, but he was trying to teach me. So he came up with the name Blessings from the Country because we live in the country, and that was the name he came up with. And that's still on my eBay page. And when we started this, I said, oh, that's good. And then I think it was Brandon that actually did the center logo with the writing kind of slanted in the heart. Him or Polly One, they did that. And then the joy in the journey, that's just my motto. You know, when mother was sick with Alzheimer's and we took care of her, I said every day was a blessing to be able to take care of her. Even though it was hard, I always say you can find joy in the journey if you look for it.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, there's Steve with you on the, on the right. We got him in there without him being here, right?
Yep. That left picture there is the one when we first started dating. We started dating in high school. And then the center was when we got married. We've been married 52 years. And then 51 years. And the one on the right is pretty current.
And you have a mother, two children,
Two
and
children.
grandmother to four.
Yep.
And of course, you reside in the great big city where we live out here in Buffalo, South Carolina.
That's right.
Now, here's some pictures here. It says you was taught to sew by your mother and grandmother.
Yes.
Now, I knew you had to have some background there, and and you wanted to learn. Back
Oh,
then, kids want to learn.
yeah, that's right. You know,
Now,
one thing I remember my grandmother, I was sewing, if anybody sews, you'll understand. I was making a dress and it had sleeves in it. Well, the top of the sleeve was supposed to be slick and smooth. Well, mine had gathers in it. Where I tried to work it in, she made me pick every bit of it out. So, you know, that kind of taught me do it right the first time and you won't have to pick them stitches out.
now you attended your very first craft show, and I believe that teddy bear on the right, is that the one that you?
That was one of them that I made. That was the very beginning. And then the picture in the middle, I did a show, I think it was in Easley, and they had a contest. You could enter something, and I entered that doll, and she's got wooden stick wings, and I won first place and won money. That was important.
I tell you, that was uh, I know it's thrilling for you, especially you probably started out thinking, well, ain't nobody gonna want this,
Yeah, you never know.
and you never know, and you of course here continue selling at crash shows, and well, you're doing it till we're still doing it right now in 2025.
Yeah, we do a lot of online too. You know, people that see it and contact me and want to buy something. Now, the picture there at the top is a line of dolls I did years ago called Mill Hill Kids. And they were actually, my grandmother grew up on the Mill Hill in Buffalo. And
Mhm.
she's gone now, but she was my inspiration for those. She told me different people's names and what they actually did. And so she kind of helped me with get the design down and the names down for some of those.
I remember you doing these right here, and seemed like we got one
You
because everybody that's in this area has lived in them on the Mill Hill, and all of a sudden we haven't seen these before until you started making them.
I had somebody when I did a presentation at a quilt event. She says, I want to buy these two dolls. I said, I'm sorry, they're not for sale. They're mine.
Well, they're beautiful and unique. If anyone ever lived on the Mill Hill,
Yeah,
it's a treasure. And is this like is this the same
it
like
is. Same,
yeah,
same.
same ones?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, balancing work and family, and I was going to say everybody's going to think, well, Betty just sits home and does these little crafts like that. That's all she did.
Yeah. Now, the one on the left is Tara and Adam, our daughter and son. In the middle is my two brothers, myself, and mother. and the logo on the right is Montana Baptist Church because that's where I worked.
Did your children growing up, when you're doing all these crafts and things as they're growing up, did they say, "Oh no, not another show. Oh no, she's doing these things again"?
Well, they kind of loved it in the summer because we did what's called Art in the Park at Myrtle Beach, and we went all 3 months, June, July, and August. They had one every month.
Oh wow,
But,
yeah. What kid
oh,
wouldn't want to do that?
but of course, they'll tell you now, we didn't do anything but do a craft show, and then we come back home.
How horrible.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about this being a new chapter in crafting. Your passions has been kind of reignited. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started in 1980 and did some shows. I actually did them up until probably 2002, and then I quit for years. And then my mother she had Alzheimer's for 13 years, and we kept her at home and took care of her. But I quit work 2012 to be home, to be with her all the time because things were beginning to change with her, and she couldn't stay by herself. And Audrey, my sister-in-law, first off, my brother and sister-in-law, they bought Mother a double wide trailer and put it on the lot that's beside us that Tommy and Audrey owned.
Hmm.
And so, when Mother got to the point she couldn't stay by herself, I just moved in. But Audrey and I took one spare bedroom and we made us a craft room in it. We had a heat press in it. We did scrapbooking. And she kind of joked, said, one of these days we need to do a few shows. So after Mother passed away in June of 2019 or 2018 or 2019, we said, okay, let's do one. So we put the one together, and this one you see here is at the barn. That was up at Tommy and Audrey's. They have a barn behind their house. And we did that show, and it had rained, and it was muddy, and people just flooded us. And that's the
Wow.
end of it.
That's what give people encouragement when you want to create or do something. What you got to do is just go ahead and do it and see if it's going to be successful or not. Maybe not the first time, maybe the second time or more of that, but it's going to give to me inspirations to others. You just got to believe in your craft and just take your idea and run with it, right?
And it changes. I mean, I'll see new ideas all the time of things I want to do. So stuff does change.
Yes, it does. People like something to be popular. For instance, the Mill Village Kids, and 2, 3 years on down the road, it's not even popular at all. So you
They,
got to come up with new ideas, right?
yeah, they would probably still be popular if I did them, but I'm just not doing them anymore.
Well, you might get some calls.
Yeah, I might.
Now you frequently found in the shop creating new items and stuff, and this is Steve. I think it's Steve. Is that Steve there?
It is.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's a smaller picture there, and it looks like you got some food down on the right picture now, Betty.
yeah, I think so. From where I'm sitting, I can't exactly see it, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, you got to feed Steve. Now that's his pay.
yeah. And of course, we have our barbecue and hash business, so we just kind of dabble in everything. And I said, with us, I mean, within our immediate family, and I thought this the other day. I mean, we have blessings from the country. We have Lancaster's Big Oak Barbecue. Audrey has cotton bales, her part of the business. My brother Michael does home inspections. And Polly and Brandon have got Turner's Detailing, car detailing. So,
Hmm.
in our immediate family, that's 5 businesses, small businesses.
Right. Well, you know what? You probably sparked that as they grow up with
Maybe so.
seeing all the things that you do, and with the barbecue also, and so that'll make you feel good to see that they pick up on things and say, I want to try this too. I know it has to make you feel great.
It does. It does. And there's the Santa right there in the center in that
And
pit.
now you still make the Santas, right?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, but
Okay.
they usually sell very quickly. And
I Can't imagine.
And on the left there, that's a wooden base and it's got the word joy stenciled on it. And those two trees are made out of old chenille bedspreads we found in my daddy's mother's attic in a trunk.
Wow.
And I cut them in different size strips and put them on there and make those trees.
You never know what you're going to find in an attic, right?
Oh, you're right. And when we got to go up there, you know, my mom never would let anybody go in her attic. You thought it was sacred or something up there. And then when my uncle, my daddy was dead, but when my uncle let us go up there, it was like, oh my. I mean, there was trunks with all kinds of stuff in them, quilts galore, those bedspreads, hand embroidery doilies with hand crocheted lace. Nobody wanted it. So, yeah, I got it. And I've used a lot of it.
I love going into old houses and attics and things. And folks, here's the QR code again there that you can take your phone, scan that right there, and it'll take you right to uh, Blessings from the Country's page, and you can look at some of these things here. But I love it in attics. So I found a good find in the attic, and I know I'm a grown man, but a doll, about a 4 foot doll, made probably 60 or 70 years ago, and I have to keep it hid, but because it looks scary. but it was good. It's good finds. I mean, and imagine you doing all these crafts and going in someone's attic that hadn't been up there in years. What? I bet you are on cloud nine and you going through boxes. And
Oh, I was, yeah. And my cousin Rosemary, she went up there with me, and Michael went up there, and it was in the heart of the summertime. But my mom's attic was floored with solid hardwood. You could walk from one end to the other and stand up in it. And
wow.
Steve and Jim, Rosemary's husband, they said, we staying down here. We're not coming up there in that heat. But we started at one end and went through everything. You know, we didn't leave nothing unturned. And
Well,
Rosemary didn't want any of it. So I was glad to take it so it just didn't sit there with the house.
what is apple cued pillows?
Applique.
Oh, okay. Apple
Yeah.
cued.
Yeah. And let me lay these churches down and I'll show you a couple of those.
Okay, don't rag me about my apple cue there.
We won't rag you too much about that.
I'm
Okay.
gonna switch it back here. We can see.
This is one of them, and this is an old quilt, and it has a church on the front of it.
Oh, okay.
So actually, I take the old quilt and then I cut a piece of fabric to put on the front of it, antique it to make it look old, and make the church pillows out of it.
That'd be good when you go to church. Sometimes the benches gets a little hard on your back.
Oh
Just
yeah.
kind of take it, put that on there, personalized.
And this is a snowman pillow, and it's
Oh,
made from what's called a wedding ring quilt.
oh, that's neat.
Yep, I sell a lot of those. Now these are some that I hand embroidery these, and then put that onto a piece of an old quilt.
Some great gifts for Christmas,
Yep,
folks.
another one right there.
See, the simple thing is take your phone out and go to that Q right there, QR code, and just go right to her page and just look at all the things she's got there. And if you're interested, give her a call. Say, hey, you got this, or send a message. Right.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Let's flip back to the slides here. We'll go to the next one here and see what's here. Here's some of the pillows.
Yeah,
Now,
that's some bunnies. The bunnies are made of some of them are made out of chenille bedspreads and old quilts. And then that pillow to the right, it's got a verse on it. And up at well on the left at the top, that's the prayer quilt. I think that's what that is, the prayer quilts. And it's small. It's about a 6 by 6 square with that verse on the top of it. And then I think the next one is actually a vintage wooden frame with a quilt block put in it.
Now, what is the bag on the right? Is that just
It's just a
these?
tote bag made out of an old quilt.
So if I got some like my old sheets, I just bring them and let you make something out of them.
Edna's probably not gonna let you do that.
I know it. I know it. And she's gonna get after me anyway for saying we got old sheets.
Yeah.
Now here's some cute little items here.
Yeah, now the pictures on the right, they're two teddy bears. That's the front and the back of them. And there was a lady, I think it was her daddy was a fire chief. I think the fire chief and the assistant fire chief at the fire department he was at years ago. And she wanted both of those off his shirts on there. So I put some of it on the front and some of it on the back as those memory bears for her.
That is a neat idea. It is great. And that gives somebody some ideas now that if they got some ones on EMS or even the police department or
Oh
fire
yeah.
department. I mean, that is neat. They're cute. It kind of reminds me of the panda bears.
And I did we found a shirt of my daddy's, and my daddy's been dead since 2007. But it was a shirt he wore at Milliken. It's a navy blue shirt, and it had a patch on each side. One said Bruce, and one said Milliken. Steve found it in the bottom of a cabinet. It had paint all over it, white paint. So we know he wore it when he was up there working when we built the barbecue house. And I said, I need to do something for me and both of my brothers. Well, it wasn't enough to do three bears, but I had a blue and white blanket, little lightweight blanket that we kept over mother just about all the time. So I incorporated both of those and I made three teddy bears. I thought, okay, I don't have but one set of patches. Well, if anybody knows my friend Susan Adams at Lavender Cottage, she has an embroidery machine. So I sent her pictures. I said, can you make me two sets of these? She said, I sure can. And they looked almost identical to the originals. So when we did our Christmas last year with my brothers and family, I had them in three different bags. I didn't know which one of us was going to get the ones with the original patch on it because we chose a bag. But Tommy, my middle brother, he's the one that got the one with the original patches. But that was just something I could share with them. This a keepsake
Right.
for us.
Yeah, it is. It's neat. Now, what is the picture on the left over here? It looks like they're sitting in a basket, or is that just the way you got it set up?
Uh,
Is
I
it
think it's the
angels?
way it is. It's little small angels, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And their wings are made out of an old quilt.
Wow. You just take stuff that makes all kind of neat things with with quilts and things, and it looks like you on the top left there is the Christmas trees.
Yeah, it is. And I make those out of the old quilts. And also, I make them out of the one on the left, I think is probably a quilt. I make those out of that and chenille bedspread. And the one right beside it, I think it's three wooden trees stacked together.
Hmm. Now, how do you come up with this? I want to make this design this way. Is it just something that you go to sleep at night and dream some of this stuff? Because I know you have to be.
I do. I do try to sleep at night. Some nights I don't, but you just see ideas everywhere. Whether I'm at a show, and the internet's a great place. It's all over Pinterest. It's all over Instagram. You see an idea, and I don't copy exactly anybody's idea. I say, oh, let me change that a little bit. Let me do this or let me do that. And speaking of that, we in Union County, and people probably don't realize how many crafter vendors there are here. I don't even know how many. But my friend Christy Scott, she started Facebook, just a private messenger for us. And we get together like once a month, meet over at the Mexican restaurant, eat, and we share ideas, what shows you gonna do, was this one good or was that one good? But I'm just amazed to say that many of us in a small town. And somebody may do what I do, or I make something somebody else does. But none of us get mad. There's plenty out there for everybody.
Right. Well, actually, it's probably more flattery because they said, "Whoa." they like Massa Deer, and they want to add their personal touch
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
it is.
And it's just like, you can dress up a mannequin like that, and you look how many dresses and things you can put on to make that mannequin look totally different, but yes, it's still a mannequin.
Yes, that's right.
Honoring a legacy. This is the Eddie Eloise collection.
It is.
Tell,
That would
tell,
be
tell us about that.
most anything. If I do something out of an old quilt or the chenille bedspreads, the crochet doily pieces, that was a name. That was my daddy's mother's. Her name was Addie Eloise. So I kind of incorporated that into there. That was a collection of stuff I did from things I got from up at her house.
Have you made anything from flour sacks, or can you even get flour sacks anymore?
Oh yeah, let me show you. That may be the center picture. It is that center picture right there.
Uh-huh.
In her attic, there was probably 25 or more flour sacks. They were washed and folded up.
Wow.
No fading. The colors were perfect. And when I started making these little cats and dogs out of it, and when I showed them to Randolph, who was Daddy's brother, he said, because 1950 farm, he said I would take the corn to Spartanburg at ground, and they put it in those sacks and bring it back. And he said after it was all gone, my mom washed the sacks and stored them.
I would say that probably the sacks itself by themselves are like worth something antique.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Yeah, they sell. They're pretty pricey.
Yeah. Now, a little history with the Governor William Gist, right? That was
Yeah,
your
that
she
that
was
was
the
my
granddaughter.
that was my great great grandfather. My daddy's mother was his actual granddaughter.
Wow. Royalty, royalty.
But tell you one more little thing on the cats, the little cat and dog. I've got a friend, just somebody I met at craft shows, and she wrote two little books, paperback books. And I think the name of it is Yucky Old Kitty or Yucky Old Cat. Her name is Fritzia Welchel. And she incorporated one of my cats, a line drawing of it in one of her books.
Oh,
I thought that was pretty amazing too.
yeah. Do you have the book?
Oh yeah, she wrote two of them. I've got both of them. Yeah.
Uh, I love interviewing authors, and I've interviewed quite a few of them, and now get their books and tell them that they got to sign them. That's just one of my things that they have to sign them
Yeah.
because it just means more, and plus I can kind of read some of their thoughts and things. So, and especially when they take your design and do the illustration of it.
And she also, both of her books are written about stories out of her family. So that was pretty interesting too, because that just means a lot.
Boy, better not write one about my family. I guess it'd be a best-selling horror story. Uh, oh, right here, some upcoming events coming up. Of course, some of them's already been there. You've got let's see, well, you just November 2nd. That's just yesterday.
Yeah, and then November the 8th is Philadelphia Baptist Church. Then
That's
the
the one we talked about in Pauline. It's going to be a big
yeah,
crowd, so you got to be there.
then the next one will be at Augsburg Lutheran and Unions on a Friday evening and a Saturday. And then the next weekend will be Junior Charity League here in Union at the fairground. That's on a Friday evening and a Saturday. And then we have the weekend of Thanksgiving off, and then we'll do Cliffdale Middle School in Cowpens. And it's a very good one too.
Okay, I see you got Neely's Farms down in Simpsonville. I've
No,
actually
I
been
didn't.
to that farm.
No, I didn't do that one. I was going to, but I ended up not doing it.
And okay, well, my goodness, you got enough right there ahead of you. Your plate's full, but the Christmas time is coming up, and that's the busiest time of the year, I guess, for crafting. Really, is that the biggest time of the year, or is
It
it
is.
different?
Usually from October to December is the biggest time.
And right here's to see QR codes to go two different places here, but the best are to go to the Facebook page and go there and and do some shopping, because one of the pages you might go in there and something already be sold or something different. This way you can get right on it right then. Yeah, bring you
And we
back
do
up.
we do ship too. If anybody wants to order anything, we do ship, or we have a pickup box here at our house, or if it's convenient, we can meet you somewhere.
Okay, see there, you can't beat that. And of course, there is a shipping fee to it,
Yeah.
and they're not going to come all the way to Myrtle Beach to bring you an item now. So there'll be shipping,
Yeah.
unless she's got a show there, then she said, "Well, I'll meet you there."
Or I need a shopping trip.
There you go. But don't expect her to be there in 4 hours.
That's right.
Now, I like it. Do you like it better going to uh, towards the beach to look for things, or is the mountains more? Uh, does it vary, or just different items?
The
Depend on
mount
what items.
the mountain area is better. Um, there's not too much at the beach that's in the vintage line or things that I actually would look for. There's not too much there. Now we go to a place in Florence. We just happened upon it a couple of years ago. It's called Palmetto Peddlers, and it's just a big building, and they've got different booths in it. So if you're ever down that way, you need to stop. It's worth a visit.
Now, do you go to some of the places that like they maybe have a cloth warehouse or anything like that? Do you shop in that
Yeah, there's
area?
one. There's one over in Williamston, South Carolina. It's called All About Fabrics. They have a Facebook page, and that's the name of it, All About Fabrics. It's in an old mill. And when you go in, the first time I went and I went in the door, my mouth was probably hanging open because it's like three huge rooms that would have been in a mill from one end to the other. And when I'm telling you it's loaded, it's loaded. And they have a lot of they have a lot of seasonal items in the first room. And then there's fabric craft supplies. And then one of the gentlemen owner, he heard me looking for a particular piece of cloth to make some pillows. He said, "You got a business?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Let me take you upstairs." I said, "Okay." So Rosemary and I were there. He took us up on the freight elevator. There's more stuff upstairs than there is downstairs. And they ship all over the world from this one place in Williamston.
Well, I'll tell you what, he asked the wrong person. You want to go up in the attic and look?
Oh yeah. And I said, some of this stuff on rolls, I bought it Hobby Lobby or Joann's. He said, "We ship it to them." I said, "Oh, okay."
Well,
Which
now
is
you know where the
it's
other source
practical
is.
where you live. Yeah, now I know where to go. Yeah.
What is the biggest find that just blew you away and it always sticks with you? That you just wow, and you never found it again.
Well, there used to be a man in Spartanburg. He did estate sales, Tyler Lewis, and his estate sales weren't, as I call, very uppity. They were just average people. Maybe they had a barn and old farmhouse. We loved to go to his. Well, there was a quilt I saw in one of his pictures, and I don't remember what happened that I knew I couldn't get there that morning when the sale started. Audrey said, "I'm going to get that quilt for you." Now, it was pouring down rain that morning. She got there early enough, stood in the rain, and bought that quilt.
Uh,
That's those things that stick out in your mind. And then my thoughts were, because it was a burgundy and a tan, my mind was made up what I was going to buy with it. But it was in such perfect condition. I use it on my kitchen table a lot of times instead of wooden dough bowl on it. No, I didn't cut it up. And I did send Michael, my brother, to one last week in Greenville. There was two red quilts I wanted because you don't find them often that are in good shape. He said, "I'll go for you." Well, he got there pretty early, but by the time he got in, somebody had already bought them, had got them and had them in a box. Audrey said, if I'd have been there, I'd have went and got them. I said, I know, in the rain. But he
Now,
tried. He just couldn't get them.
now,
I have
did you,
people looking for me all the time.
what, did you, do you look in the paper and look for particular estate sales? I know that I used to go to some, and I would always have a pretty good idea of kind of what look at, or get to where I know this is going to be a good estate sale.
Yeah. And there's I can't think of the man that does it. I get an email from him, but he has done several in the Cherokee, Converse Heights area. And you would think, oh gosh, I can't afford anything that would be there. But when he has a quilt, his price is usually $40 or $45. It doesn't matter what kind of quilt it is, that's his price. But I've not been lucky enough to get any of them. When I get there, they're usually gone.
So,
But he has good sales. You learn some of them. And I buy some on Marketplace. I'll see some pop up. I had a young lady approach me. When I say young, she's probably mid-20s, approached me at a craft show in Spartanburg at Scarlett's Boutique. And she said, do you make Christmas stockings? I said, well, I haven't. She said, let me rephrase that. Can you make Christmas stockings? I said, yes. She said, well, let me show you a picture. She found a picture on Pinterest. She said, I need some stockings like this. So she showed me the picture. I said, you don't believe this. I just ordered a quilt from Marketplace, that identical quilt. She said, this is a God thing. It was meant for me to ask you this. So she wanted 4 stockings made out of that quilt for her new house.
wow. It's the way things, I guess, to me, click,
Yeah.
when thing goes in the right places. Now, are you connected with like a network of? I know you have here in Union. You get the Facebook page there where y'all, and of course, we all get together. Uh, do you have like a network of other crafters across the United States and different places that you communicate with a little bit, or?
There's some on Facebook, some of the groups, that you join, and, we share ideas and all.
Well, I thought that would be a good avenue. I belong to one that's just for podcasters, for all across the world, the United States, get on there and they share ideas and different things and ask questions, and we're able to communicate that way. Said, oh, you got to do it this way, and I'm sure that you get quite a few questions about, well, how do you get this sewed this way? How do you
Yeah.
put the stuffing in that way so good?
And
What kind
some
of
things you tell and some things you don't.
Oh, yes, you gotta keep your craft.
Yeah.
Now, is it the stuffing you use for some of the pillows and things like that? Is it what type of stuffing is that? Is it
The
old
name,
family secret?
no, the name of it is Polyfil, Polyfil. And I
Oh,
ordered it by the 20-pound boxes. And I've used it for all my crap from years and years and years ago. And I used to order it. You hear something, that was an acorn hitting the roof.
ooh, I
Um,
don't want to. Somebody throwing
yeah,
rocks in there.
but I used to order it directly from the Polyfield people, but I can buy it through Amazon and usually Walmart, pretty much the same price. But to tell you how good a company they are, I had, because I buy, like I say, 20-pound boxes, and I had 3 boxes I bought last year that was different. When you pull it apart, it's like little tiny pieces instead of more fiber. It literally, I could feel it sticking my legs through my pants. So I
Hmm.
contacted the company. The lady, very nice, she contacted me right back that same day. She said, how many boxes did you buy? I said, 6. She said, have you got the receipts? I said, yeah, I run a business, so I've got the receipts. She said, do you by chance have any of the boxes? I said, I got 2 boxes that have been unopened in my building. She said, take pictures of the barcodes on the boxes, where it was made, and send me that and your receipts. Less than a week later, I had 6 boxes. They shipped me free.
Wow, that's good customer service, isn't it?
She said they have one place that made, and it's all made in the United States, that they had been having some problems with. They were trying to figure out what was happening with it. So yeah, I just reached out to them. I said, well, it's not going to hurt if it don't help. And they sent me 6 boxes.
Well, it doesn't. It's sometimes we want to. I know people sometimes do a review, and I do a lot of reviews on a lot of stuff that I get. And if in doing those reviews, you've got to reach out first and see what the customer service is about first,
Yeah.
instead of giving the review of negativity.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried that because I had experience with one thing, but I had such great customer service. I went back and said, "Hey, this is great service. They took care of the problem that I had." And to me, that right there is, now if I didn't do anything, it's different, but
Yeah.
good review and good customer service. Well, Betty, I enjoyed having you on. It's getting that top of the hour right there, and
Well, I appreciate it.
and I had fun. I learned a lot of stuff here from different things. Now I'm not going to go into crafting, so you don't have to worry about me going out there to do that. Even no crafting.
I didn't tell
Like,
you too many of my secrets, did I?
you didn't, and I didn't see any there. And Steve don't have to worry about the woodwork stuff like that, because believe me, my woodwork would be horrible. But people, you've seen the QR codes. Go back to it, scan it up. You've seen the ticker, everything at the bottom, and they got these shows coming up. Go there and look, and you'll be amazed. But what I'm showing here was just a little tiny little bit, but you go to the shows, you're gonna get blown away, and you're gonna spend some good money for some great products,
We
handmade.
appreciate you, Jerry, and we appreciate all our customers too.
All right. Well, Betty, I'm gonna put you what you call backstage again, and
Okay.
hold on. I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
And there we go. All right. Now, I hope you've learned something, because I know I have. And we got all kinds of guests that comes on our show, and I just love that Betty came on to my show because of the hard work that they do, and it's just amazing how they can come and do such crafty work. And but what you can do is follow the QR code, shop, and look for where they're going to be at, and go look for yourself. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and next week we're going to have an author on here that wrote a book about how she dealt with a suicide in her family of her brother, and how she coped with it. And so we're going to interview that. It's going to be a solemn show. So I will see you next week, next Monday at 7 o'clock, same time. I'm Jerry McKee, and you have a great